Hello, you can call me Sihone, and in this video we're going to go over the mechanics of Boss 2 in the Aerodrome using Floor 41 as an example. I won't be going over the entire fight, just breaking down the important mechanics. Let's dive right in. There are two very important mechanics that I'll be going over first before getting into the specific phases of this boss. These two mechanics will be relevant throughout the entire fight, so be sure to memorize this well. These two mechanics are resetting the boss's rotation and managing puddles. Let's talk about resetting the rotation first. Maximon will do 3 attacks: swipe, jab, and then either a spin or a red line attack. Here, he did a spin. If you are tanking the boss or a clone, and we'll talk about clones later in this video, it is very important that you range check the boss after every 3 attacks. Range checking means that the boss will do a certain move outside of his normal rotation if the tank moves far enough away. In this case, the boss will chase the tank and then start over his 3 attacks if you range check him. If you don't do this, then the boss will do his 4th attack, which is a multi-hit chase move that does a lot of damage and can mess up your party. If you still don't range check him after that, he'll do a block move which will root you if you hit him, cause an explosion, and drop a puddle. If you've gotten to that point, you've done effed up. Now it's time to talk about puddles and how they form. If you put puddles on top of each other, they'll explode and do massive damage to the party. If the tank directs this red cone AoE attack towards a puddle, it will also explode. Every time a puddle explodes, it will give the boss a defense buff. As far as how puddles form, every 30 seconds a puddle will drop on the character furthest from the boss. This will happen no matter what. If you hit into a clone or the boss's 5th move, which is a block, puddles will also form. This is preventable if you reset the rotation like I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Now let's talk about the jump phase. At 90% HP and 60% HP, the boss will jump to the middle and do his jump phase. 3 clones will appear on these circles. After a second, the boss will point to the marked clone. I recommend DPSing the boss with a marked clone to your back like this when the phase starts. Having the clone directly behind me makes it a lot easier for me to see which way he's going to jump. The clone will either look left or right and jump in that direction. In this case, he jumped left. Once he jumps, keep following him for 4 more jumps for a total of 5 jumps. Now before the clone has jumped 5 times, stop DPSing the boss. If you hit the boss after his 5th jump, he'll root you and drop a puddle on your face, which is bad, unless you're into that kind of thing. And believe me, you're not into that kind of thing. Once the clone does its 5th jump, immediately hit the marked clone. It can be a love tap, it can be your best move, just make sure that the marked clone is hit and not the others, otherwise this will happen. Which again can potentially mess up or kill your party members. The boss in the middle will say, "Get out of my spotlight," and do a jump in place. He'll start doing a giant, painful AoE, so I would recommend iframing here and time it right to where you can stun the main boss. In this clip, as a tank, I was able to get both stuns off, but it should be the job of every party member to try and CC here. After this, every party member except for the tank needs to kill the clone as quickly as possible. It's the job of the tank and party members to keep all clones and the boss away from each other, as stacking the enemies together gives them a defense buff. 9 times out of 10, it will become so chaotic that the party will wipe if they aren't separated. Once the clone is destroyed, you'll have a small window to attack the boss. He'll do a room-wide AoE that is iframeable, which will mark the next phase. Now it's time to talk about killing those clones. At 75% and 45% HP, you'll have to kill some clones. Ideally, you want 2 party members per clone, and you want to destroy these clones as quickly as possible. Make sure they aren't grouped together because, once again, they'll receive a defense buff and almost guarantee a wipe if you can't separate them. The clones have a very similar attack rotation to the boss. Swipe, jab, and then a spin or red line attack. Same as before, you'll need to range check to reset the rotation. If I'm tanking, I'll use SS to move back. Here is an example of when our tank did not range check the clone properly and hit into his block. I have characters turned off, but right now our tank is rooted and can't move. The clone puts down a puddle, jumps in the air, and does a very large and powerful AoE attack. His CC bar will also open up at this point, and I was able to CC and grab him. This works, but it's certainly not ideal. Once the clone is destroyed, help destroy the other clone. Now it's time to talk about the last phase. At 30% HP, the boss will enter his last phase and summon a clone. All party members except for the tank need to immediately kill this clone. He'll keep summoning clones every 50 seconds. If you don't kill them quick enough, he can summon up to 3 clones at the same time, which is pretty much a guaranteed wipe. Until the boss is defeated, he'll keep repeating this phase over and over, so good luck. And now it's time for some tips. Just like the first boss, the best team composition you'll need for this boss is a tank, a buffer, a grabber, and ranged. Don't use knockdowns on this boss, as he'll do a get up attack that knocks back. The only time you should do KDs is if you're going to commit to a grab. If you're fast enough, you can stun and grab one of the 2 clones that spawn after jump phase. If you don't have confidence in the person who's tanking a clone or the boss, don't hit the boss after the 3rd attack to see what happens. Filling the breaker gauge right before the room-wide AoE is a perfect way to squeeze in a lot of DPS. If you have a party iframe, be vigilant with puddles. You could be the reason your party completes the dungeon if you can party iframe when 2 puddles accidentally drop on top of each other. And there you go. If you found this video helpful, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you need to find a group to run with, you can join our multi-run Discord server by clicking the link below. As always, you can call me Sihone. I'll talk to you later.